traders? It's Johnny here with Trader X. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. And today I wanted to go ahead and give you guys another breakdown of how my day trading went. And to get right into it, as you guys can see, today was a green day today. I was up $122.11 on TQQQ and up $30.03 on the inverse ETF SQQQ, right? And then there's also my Tesla swing position, which made me $36 on the day today. So these were all my filled orders. You guys can see the timestamps here on the left of what I bought into and out of, and the ticker right here in the middle, and then the price points over here on the right. So that's for your reference. You guys can pause and take a look at that if you want. And what you guys will notice is, the first few trades I took were actually red on the day, right? So I want to go ahead and explain my thought process for the day and let you guys know what led to me making money today. So ultimately, what I saw going on is pre-market, the Nasdaq was indicating signs of a sell-off, right? It broke below the middle VWAP and started a trade between the middle and bottom VWAP, making these lower highs and lower lows, right? Then it would recover all the way back up to the middle VWAP and then become overextended, peak out, and then get rejected again, right? So at market open, you see it's right around this area as this thing starts to aggressively sell off. And so what made me lose money in my first few trades is this thing as it aggressively sold off. I tried buying the dip and predicting the dip on TQQQ. And so as this thing continued to aggressively sell off, I had to cut my shares, right? And I made sure to only get in with a fraction of my trading size because of the fact that I knew it could continue to sell off and I was buying without any indication of an actual confirmation of a reversal, right? So what I should have done was waited more for this type of stuff where it ends up breaking above the EMA, and starting to surge. So as this thing was riding itself down, I was trying to predict the bottom and getting burned. But ultimately, as it approached the bottom VWAP, I did ultimately get back into TQQQ, and as this thing continued to push up, I averaged up and ended up selling out, right? And then I did it once more. Once this thing fell back down here, I waited for it to become overextended, peak out, and sell off. And then right over here at these levels, I bought back into TQQQ and averaged up and then sold at more overextended levels, right? And then after I did that, I was actually able to do a little bit of an SQQQ play, right? And make some money off the sell-off. And ultimately, what I thought about today was there was a chance it was going to trade sideways like today, given the fact that it did sell off yesterday. And so as you guys can see, if you look at the bigger time frame on the Nasdaq, you guys will notice that it's been very bearish today. And what typically happens based off my experience of trading it is it will, whenever the Nasdaq has a day where it aggressively sells off like it does here, right? Or like what we just saw, it'll have a period of a few days where it starts to consolidate, right? Where it's not really choosing direction, it's more trading sideways. And when it does start to trade this way at these levels, what it typically does is it'll trade below the top VWAP and the bottom VWAP, right? So if you guys like if I were to zoom out into the past 20 days, what you guys will notice is what I'm talking about is like something like this. After a significant sell-off, it'll become choppy, right? It'll kind of trade between the top view up, bottom view up. It'll touch the top, go to bottom, except in this, case it actually had a big sell-off. But it's pretty much what I expected after this big sell-off yesterday and over the weekend was today it could have been choppy, right? It wasn't going to really try to find a direction, at least based on previous patterns. That's what I thought would happen. And so what since in the morning when we saw this big sell off, that told me that, if there's a chance that it's going to be trading sideways today and it's approaching the bottom VWAP, you can try to get into TQQQ for a bit of a reversal play here, right? Like you're seeing here and time again, right? So multiple times today it would sell off, reverse back up to middle VWAP. So although it was a very choppy market today, there you could have still made money, obviously, right? Given the fact that if you bought in at the high points or at the low points, sorry about that, and then sold at the high points, or if you got into the high points up for the inverse ETF and sold at the low points, you could have made money. So, what my plan is heading into tomorrow. I feel like the next few days are going to be pretty similar to this, where it's trading, kind of sideways and all choppy and all over the place. So that's definitely what I'm going to be looking out for. I'm going to be trying to get into TQQQ as the Nasdaq approaches the bottom VWAP and then sell, at more overextended levels and then maybe get into the inverse ETF and ride it down, right? So that's ultimately my plan for, the next few days until we actually start to see confirmation of an actual direction whether or not it actually starts to uptrend again or downtrend. As far as my swing trading on Tesla, I still haven't added any shares, right? As you guys will see, I still only have 2 shares, and ultimately my thoughts with Tesla is, if you guys saw yesterday's video, you would have seen that I'm not going to feel comfortable averaging up into Tesla until the Nasdaq itself starts to actually form higher highs and higher lows. And the reason for that is the Nasdaq heavily influences Tesla. So when the Nasdaq has a nice green day, Tesla will typically follow. And when the Nasdaq has a sell-off, it'll typically make Tesla bleed with it, right? So that's ultimately why I haven't added more to my Tesla position. What I'm waiting for is on the bigger time frames of the Nasdaq. As you guys can see, it's right around support levels, right? So the Nasdaq, even on a bigger time frame like the past 20 years, what you'll notice it consistently will, make these higher highs and higher lows, and it'll eventually have these corrections, right? When it becomes too overextended, it'll correct itself back up to the SMA line or back down to it before it continues to bounce and make higher highs, right? So the market was on a super, super big rally, and so there wasn't, much of a surprise given how overextended it was that we were due for a pullback. And with all the negative catalysts going on in the world, it would just made sense for this thing to actually pull back to the SMA line. And so what I'm going to be looking out for is the chance that this actually reverses, right? So right now it's becoming, or it's mostly just getting rejected by the EMA line, as you guys can see. So what I want to happen is for it to bounce, break up above the EMA, and to ride it all the way up like it did here, right? Right now we're doing the exact opposite, right? It's getting rejected by the EMA and riding it down. So we are at more of a support level. So once I start to see this thing break above the EMA and validate it as a support like it was doing here, that is when I will feel comfortable adding more heavily into my Tesla position size. But otherwise, until then, I'm not going to do so because nothing has to happen, right? Although we want the Nasdaq to bounce right around these levels, it can definitely continue to sell off, and it doesn't actually have to follow this exact pattern that it's been doing, right? Nothing really ever has to happen in the stock market, and as long as you go into every trade expecting that, then I think you can set yourself up for success. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys all learned something new from it and were able to end green today as well. If you guys are new to the channel, me and my brother really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription from you guys because we're a new channel and every subscriber helps. But other than that, that's everything I wanted to talk about. I will be posting a recap tomorrow and I will let you guys know how I did. But until then, I will see you guys then. Take care and have a good rest of your day.